Hey kids, Miss Sam here again. Just wanted to say how much we miss seeing you guys, and we hope that you're all doing really great and look forward to us being together really soon. So this month we have been talking about faith. Faith is trusting in what you can't see because of what you can see. In the book of Acts in the Bible, we can read the story of a man named Saul. Saul was also known as Paul. When he was a young man, Saul was sent to Jerusalem to study with the famous Rabbi Gamaliel. Like many of the religious leaders at the time, Saul believed that he was closer to God because of how closely he followed God's rules. He carefully studied God's law. He prayed 3 times a day. Like other religious leaders in Jerusalem, Saul was caught off guard by Jesus. Saul and the other leaders were very upset that Jesus claimed to be God's son. Jesus had died on the cross, but his followers said that he had returned to life and that they had actually seen him alive. Against all odds, the numbers of Jesus' followers began to grow. The religious leaders did everything they could to squash the new movement. They even arrested a leader named Stephen. Saul stood by and held the coats of the men who threw stones at Stephen until they killed him. Saul became known for hunting down people who believed in Jesus. When he discovered that some Jews in the city of Damascus were following Jesus, he went to the high priest Caiaphas. Saul asked Caiaphas for letters to the synagogues in Damascus to give him permission to arrest the believers and take them back to Jerusalem. Saul traveled with a group of men to arrest the believers they found. After days on the road, they were close to Damascus. As they neared the city, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around Saul. He fell to the ground. Saul heard a voice from heaven speak to him. Listen to what the voice said. "Saul, Saul, why are you opposing me?" "Who are you, Lord?" Saul asked. "I am Jesus," he replied. "I am the one you are opposing. Now get up and go into the city. There you will be told what you must do." The men traveling with Saul stood there amazed. They couldn't even speak. Saul got up and he couldn't see. The other men led Saul by the hand into Damascus. Saul stayed there at the home of a man named Judas. For 3 days, Saul was blind. He didn't eat or drink anything. Saul thought he knew the truth, but then he came face to face with Jesus, a man he knew was dead, and he discovered that Jesus was very much alive. Even though Saul couldn't see, it was like he actually saw everything about Jesus in a whole new way. Here's why. The bottom line is, knowing Jesus changes the way you see everything. Throughout God's story, God has helped all sorts of people understand who he is. From the Garden of Eden, where he walked with Adam and Eve, to all of the ways he showed up in the lives of his people, from Abraham to David to the disciples, God has shown people who he really is. God even opened Saul's eyes in a pretty dramatic way. Saul had spent his life up until then trying to stop the message of Jesus, but now he could see the truth, that Jesus really was God's son. You see, knowing Jesus changes the way you see everything. God opens our eyes too, in lots of different ways, and helps us look at our life from his point of view. For example, when you know Jesus, you might see how the things that seem bad right now could be used for something good. Sometimes God speaks to us through our experiences, like maybe you're out at a park on a sunny day and you notice the beautiful world God created, and you feel closer to him than you ever have before. Or maybe you hear a song about God that teaches you something new about him. Or you might have a friend who always shows you God's love. But however you get to know Jesus better, it's always worth it, because knowing Jesus changes the way you see everything. So that wraps up our week 2 for the month of June learning about faith, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great day.